All right, welcome to Module 11. Today, we are diving into a really big question. How do you actually lead and sustain real, meaningful change in an organization, especially around economic reconciliation? It's all about getting past the good intentions and creating something that actually lasts. So, let's get into it. So, let's imagine this. Your company has done the work. You've got a great reconciliation action plan, a RAP. It's been approved, it's up on the website, it looks great. But how do you make sure it doesn't just end up as a PDF gathering dust on a server somewhere? How do you transform that document into the living, breathing culture of your company? That's the real challenge, and that's what we're going to unpack today. Okay, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by talking about the person leading the charge, the reconciliation champion. Then we'll get into their core principles. After that, we'll tackle the roadblocks that always pop up. Then we shift into turning policy into culture. And finally, we'll talk about how to make sure all this hard work sticks around for the long haul. First things first, let's talk about who leads this. We really need to rethink this role. It's so much more than just a compliance officer checking boxes. This person needs to be a true agent of change. The source material gives this role a new name, and I think it's perfect. The Chief Reconciliation Champion. This isn't just a title change. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. You're not just some manager overseeing a policy. You are a strategic leader. Your job is to show everyone how this work is a core value that actually gives your company a competitive advantage. It's about strategy, not just checking boxes. So if you're going to be that champion, what's in your toolkit? What do you actually do? Well, let's dig into the 4 core principles that are basically your essential tools for making this transformation happen. Okay, what's so powerful about this is how these 4 pillars build on each other. See, it all starts with vision casting. You have to frame this whole thing as a smart business move, a competitive advantage. Once you have that vision, it's so much easier to get executive buy-in, where your leaders are out there, publicly walking the talk. You back them up with data-driven persuasion, showing them the numbers, the KPIs, the actual return on investment. And then, and this is key, you scale it all through empowerment, handing off tasks and budget to other leaders so this change can happen everywhere at once. Of course, any big change is going to face some resistance. It's inevitable. But the way this is framed here is brilliant. These aren't just problems. They're dragons to be slayed. They're challenges you can actually plan for and outsmart. The first dragon you'll likely face is just plain old fatigue. People get overwhelmed. They look at the scale of reconciliation and think, this is endless. It's draining. The countermove here? Stop trying to boil the ocean. You have to break the work down into smaller, concrete, achievable goals. And, this is so important, you have to celebrate the small wins, loudly. When you highlight one successful partnership, it makes the whole effort feel real and gives everyone that shot of energy to keep pushing forward. Next up, the compliance trap. You will definitely hear this, probably from your legal or ops teams. They'll say, hey, we just need to meet the minimum legal requirement. The way you fight this is by changing the conversation from cost to certainty. You show them case studies, real-world examples of the huge cost of failure, the project delays, the legal battles, the reputational damage. Suddenly, doing more than the bare minimum doesn't look like a cost. It looks like the smartest investment you can make. And of course, right on cue, here comes the cost objection, usually from finance. They'll look at the budget and say it's too expensive. Your job is to completely reframe the discussion. This is not an operational expense like buying paper clips. This is a long-term strategic investment. It's about protecting the value of your assets for decades and mitigating billion-dollar risks down the road.
All right, so once you've slayed those dragons and navigated the resistance, it's time to go on offense. This is the exciting part. It's about taking these ideas and weaving them into the very fabric, the DNA of your company.
The source lays out 3 really practical steps to do this. Number 1, psychological safety. Your staff has to feel safe enough to ask questions, even the dumb ones, and to admit when they don't know something. Number 2, align it with your core values. Literally, write this commitment into your mission statement, put it in the code of conduct. And number 3, this one is huge, hardwire the budget. This can't be some optional expense that gets cut when times are tough. It has to be a fixed cost, just like paying the rent. And this is what it looks like in practice. This isn't just one person's job, it's everyone's. You're applying an equity lens to everything. Your legal team is thinking about data governance, not just consent forms. HR's performance is now judged on how well they retain Indigenous employees. Finance won't approve a major investment unless it has an equity piece. Operations can't even get a project signed off without proof of early engagement. See, it touches every single part of the business. Okay, so you've done all this amazing work. You've built a new culture. Now for the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. How do you make sure it lasts? How do you make sure it outlives you, the current CEO, and any other changes down the line? You do it with structure. You have to build systems that lock in the change. First, you make that champion role a permanent senior level position. Then you start planning for the future, building pipelines to develop the next generation of leaders. For accountability, you hire an outside Indigenous-owned firm to audit you. And finally, you create a direct line of communication, a formal channel for your Indigenous partners to give feedback straight to your board. That's how you make it permanent. Ultimately, what all this leads to is a new way of measuring success. We have to move beyond the simple KPIs, counting how many workshops we held. The real goal, the real metric, is the actual, tangible, social impact we're having in the community over the long term. And I absolutely love this concept from the source, the influence score. Think about this. It's a way to measure how much your company's high standards are forcing other companies in your industry to step up their game. It's not just about what you do, it's about the positive ripple effect you create across your entire sector. This quote right here really just nails the whole thing. To make change last, you have to shift the internal conversation. It can't just be about avoiding lawsuits or ticking a compliance box anymore. The conversation has to be about how this work actively creates new, real, sustainable value for everyone involved. And so that brings us to the final question, the one I want to leave you with. It's not just about the good things you're doing right now. It's about the systems and structures you're building to make sure that good work continues long after you're gone. So what will your legacy of change truly be?